We're talking telephones on this episode of the Everything is a Primary Source podcast. Want to bring history to life in your classroom? With Everything is a Primary Source to go, you can borrow real historical artifacts from the last 200 years, shipped right to your school. It's hands-on history, paired with ready-to-use lesson plans and classroom activities that make the past come to life for you and your students. Whether you're teaching the Industrial Revolution all the way up through the Communication Revolution, there's something in our collection for every era. Visit everything-history.com/EPS to go and start transforming your teaching today. That's everything-history.com/EPS to go, because history belongs in your hands. Welcome to the Everything is a Primary Source podcast, the show where we construct history through popular culture. I'm your host, Eric Salmonson. I'm a social studies teacher, historian, and pop culture enthusiast. Each episode, I sit down with everyday people to discuss the media, objects, places, and events that shape us and reveal what they say about the past, as well as who we are now. The Everything is a Primary Source podcast is, therefore, your history, my history, our history through popular culture. I'm so happy to be here with Graham of the New Hampshire Telephone Museum, and I'll try my best not to pun it up because you're the receiver of some. Okay, all right. Anyway, welcome to the Everything's a Primary Source podcast.
Fantastic.
We were just talking about your museum, and I was saying how much fun it is to be there, and how colorful and exciting it is, and tell me a little bit of history of your museum.
Absolutely. It is, in fact, a beautiful, great space. I'm glad you enjoyed your visit. We've been, believe it or not, this year is our 20th season. So we opened in 2005. It was the passion project of several different people, several different families, but Dick Violet, who was in the industry, he actually worked for MCT, Merrimack County Telephone. Eventually, he would purchase that small independent telephone company, which serviced the area. And that's primarily why this museum, NHTM, is in Warner, New Hampshire. That's where the independent telephone company was located. So, again, opened up in 2005, and it has, the last 2 years, been the busiest 2 years ever. I guess maybe we've reached some sort of a tipping point. It's pretty darn exciting. But the name is a little confusing to a lot of people. It started off as a museum, small, albeit very small, with phones, but we're a communications museum. Yeah. So we do have an awful lot of things that people don't anticipate. So we usually tell people the average visit is about 3 hours, and they are not going to believe us. And I should put money down because it's 3 hours at least, and everyone leaves saying, this is not what I expected. It is so much fun, and it is much larger than I ever would anticipate. So it's a very cool place.
Yeah, and it's a unique time for a museum to open is early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because plenty of times museums is, I guess, but if you go to it, it does match up with the time because
Yes.
There's an interactive nature to it. There is just the feel of it. You feel like you're in a really nice, well-kept telephone store.
Yes.
Right? Good shelving
Yeah.
and minimal explanation. It's not like you're reading placard after placard of information. You're expected to kind of go in any place you want to and look at these things. Other museums that came out before that have had to learn to adjust to the modern era.
Yes.
This one was born in the modern era.
Yes.
So telephones were changing a lot in that time period when it was made into a museum. So I guess it's fitting.
It is fitting. It is fitting. And I think another component of your question is actually, I must tell you that the people that started the museum weren't museum, air quote, people. And they are still not museum people. We have 2 on staff full-time, myself and our education director. Neither of us have a museum background. So quite frankly, that's one of the things we're most proud of. We're kind of laid back. We want to just tell a lot of really fun, cool stories. And so from the research, you just pick out the nuggets of what you think people might really enjoy. And so far, we've done okay. People have a great time reading the information that we want to tell them.
Are there other telephone museums throughout the country?
Yes, absolutely. Throughout the country, throughout the world. There's actually a small one in Ellsworth, Maine, which would be not necessarily the closest one, but there is also one in Massachusetts. I want to say Worcester, but our friend Vincent, who operates that one, he's moved a little bit, so I'm not sure where he's located at the moment. And then, of course, there's apparently a beautiful one in Georgia. It's on my bucket list. I have not been yet. So yes, there are others.
I was reminded recently, I was watching some kind of video that had commercials from the late 90s, 1999 in fact.
Okay.
And they had one of those commercials for the 10-10-3-2-1 calling long distance.
Sure.
And I was reminiscing with my wife because around that time, shortly thereafter, we were first going out.
Yeah.
And she lived on one side of New York, and I lived on the other side of New York State. And we used to have to get calling cards.
Sure.
Otherwise, parents would be like, who called long distance around here?
Exactly.
And so there is a geographical relationship with the telephone too.
Oh, absolutely.
In that New York is a big enough state that it had several area codes. Mm-hmm. And even you could call from one place to another within the same area code. It might still count as long distance.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, years and years ago, we're talking, olden days, let's say. That terminology varies from age bracket to age bracket. But there might have been a time when you, in order to talk to any friends or family members, you might actually have to rent 2 or 3 or even more telephones. So in order to make phone calls that you and I consider very easy and convenient, because nowadays we don't know. We can call anybody we want, anywhere in the world, at any time, and the likelihood of them picking the phone up is pretty good, but that's not how it was. Now, when I say you rented your phone, by the way, that's an interesting thing, because you didn't have an opportunity to purchase your phone. You weren't allowed to buy your phone. You actually had to rent it. So you rented the phone itself, and then you would pay the service for the use of the phone. And, there were people that would be doing this for 50 plus years. Finally, they would perhaps move out of state or into a retirement facility. They'd start packing up this phone thinking that they've spent 50 years paying for it. Somebody would come to their home, their door, and say, great, I'll take the last bill and I'll take that phone. That's not your property. So there's a lot to it. It's an interesting history.
It's kind of like, modems have become that way too.
Sure.
If you get high-speed internet connected to your house, that thing becomes part of your house. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it's still owned by
absolutely somebody else's property.
That set it up for you.
Exactly.
And so we have that. It's a very, I would imagine, in some ways it's democratizing.
Sure.
Because even the wealthiest people would still have to borrow the phone from the people who own it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, also kind of classist in a way. It's like middle class life was like you had to
very much
deal with this. And I think a lot of the phone designs that eventually came about, including the one we're about to talk about, are sort of like geared towards middle class people as a way to move up just a little bit within that same zone. So
absolutely.
Cordless phone was your way. It's like, I think cordless phones, pop-up tents, like the kind that you would use at a cookout, and like inflatable hot tubs are all markers of like middle class hierarchy. Like if you have all 3 of those things,
you've made it.
Then you've made it. But you're not definitely kings among men.
Right.
You're just doing okay, kind of thing. I guess the last thing I would say about the geography component of it is that in a place like New Hampshire, where the big tall pines are the reason why so many people even live up in northern New Hampshire. Anyways, those are like the bane of existence for the phone companies because they have to spend pretty much all the non-winter seasons cutting back the limbs just so they don't have to do the work in the middle of a snowstorm of communication gets cut because a branch fell on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess the last thing, too, is also in the days of the operator, you get to know them, right? That was part of your community.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, history is funny because no matter what topic of history you're talking about, things don't change all that much. And that's whether you're talking about, world affairs or whether you're talking about telephony. They don't change all that much. So, the trees that you just spoke of. Well, before this all started, you had your small independents. It was nearly impossible to start servicing people because they didn't have the money to build the infrastructure. Ma Bell did. Ma Bell had money, but she didn't want to pay for somebody else's infrastructure. So somebody else had to do that. So while we may be spending a lot of money taking down tree branches, once upon a time they were putting up a lot of telephone poles and spreading wires to take care of people. So it's fascinating that there's a tremendous overlap in history, particularly telephony.
Keep going back to that kind of thing. So you hear about the social media companies. The argument is this part of, like, everyone should have access to it, or does it belong to them? And we're using their servers to put our content on. Do they ultimately own that? Are they responsible for it? It's a lot of questions we should be asking. And it's the same with the phone lines. If somebody is using the phone lines for something illegal or to discuss, is that the responsibility of the phone company or is that on them? Right. How does the government interact with these things? Everything is a Primary Source is now on Teachers Pay Teachers with ready-to-use lesson plans, activities, and assessments incorporating, you guessed it, primary sources of everyday life from the last 200 years. With several free resources and everything else $5 or less, you'll be able to enhance your social studies curriculum with deep-cut documents of the past quickly and affordably. Look up Everything is a Primary Source on Teachers Pay Teachers to browse the collection. The thing that we're looking at right now, so I have a Father's Day Radio Shack flyer, or Radio Shack flyer for Father's Day gifts, mid-1990s. And does it say the model phone it is? Just a cordless cut?
It does just say cordless. It's folded, so I can't... It says
cut dad loose with a cordless. And that thing was going for...
$39.99. Not bad, right?
And so the question I chose is, what ideas or behaviors does this convey? I think it says it in a little caption, doesn't it?
It does.
What does that say? I mean, you couldn't take... A cordless phone is not the same as a cell phone. You can just take it anywhere you want.
Right.
But what do they mean, cut dad loose?
Oh my gosh, can you imagine for the same, when I look at something like this, the first thing that comes to mind is all of the instant or prepackaged foods or the ease of all the foods that we started to market to mothers to make their lives easier so she could be somewhere else, not always tethered to the kitchen. Likewise, I read this, by the way, marketing is fabulous. Cut dad loose with a cordless. Well, dad's busy. Dad needs to be somewhere else. Maybe he needs to be at a meeting or mowing the lawn. I mean, keep in mind, we're talking about a traditional time and place. But now he can be on the phone, and he's not tethered to anything, a wall or the inside of the house. It's great, brilliant marketing.
I can't hear you. I'm mowing the lawn.
Exactly. I've got a phone. Besides that, it also screams, I'm doing all right. I'm making some money. Look at me. I have this important piece of technology. So
I remember in that time period seeing people in my neighborhood that had cordless phones, and I thought, wow, look at them.
It was a big deal. Absolutely.
And they don't have to stay, they have to stay within range, but that range is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at your museum you have examples of the extended cord that... Have you ever seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
No.
That has one of the best scenes, because that movie was made, and it takes place. It's a rural part of Idaho.
Yeah.
And it takes place early 2000s when it was made. And they're still using dial-up internet, even though the alternative had been introduced. And they don't have a cordless phone. So when he wants privacy, the phone call comes in for him, he wanders across the house from the kitchen, where most people would have their phone hanging up, wander away, and the cord is falling with him.
Yeah.
He has this super long cord.
Nice.
It's in the other room, and then so when he's done, he can't slam the phone. He has to wander all the way back and then put it back. And that's such a relatable thing, because for most of us, that was how you interact with the phone.
Absolutely.
You might have 3 around the house. You'd have one in the kitchen. Or my parents had one in the bedroom, and then we had one in our basement.
Yep.
That was a rotary phone, so I learned how that stayed alive in my house for a little while.
Yeah.
This was eventually we did get cordless. But, I mean, some of those basic things that you can do with a phone actually can't be done with this.
Oh, exactly. But the other thing I got to tell you, as you said that, I'm like thinking about, again, the marketing. That not everyone most people, if they even had a phone to begin with, because it was expensive, they could rent one phone. But as soon as plastics were invented, plastics were very inexpensive, and all of a sudden there was a huge splash of color. That's when the industry started marketing, well, you need this great phone for dad. You need that baby blue phone in the bedroom. Oh, your son needs an orange phone. That's why we ended up having all of these telephones.
Marble-looking one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you need more than one phone. And look at where we are now. I mean, everybody has their own personal device.
And they personalize it even further by putting stickers on the backside, or which would be. I'm sure you could probably find one of these from the late '90s that has stickers on it. From
maybe you could certainly find in different colors. Yeah, absolutely.
Match up with what they're doing.
Yeah.
You can't slam a phone like this. I remember recognizing that for the first time on a sitcom from late 90s, early 2000s, where in anger, the person goes and hits the button beep. I'm like, that doesn't have the same as ching. You get that nice clang sound.
Exactly.
And the fast disconnect.
Yep.
This, I mean, not that we're hoping Dad has a lot of moments where he needs to slam the phone.
Exactly. But if he does, he's going to be let down, because this is very lackluster. Yeah.
Doesn't have the same resonance as something else. Right next to it on the same page is a scanner.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're listening to the cops and I mean, this is on the front page. Like, what's this saying about dads in the 90s?
Apparently, Dad. What were dads doing, right?
Busybodies and, you know, so as they hear something on the scanner, they can get on the phone and call somebody and see what they have to say about it.
This is fantastic. This is great. Radio Shack. Remember how big Radio Shack was? I mean, that was a go-to behemoth. Yeah.
It's funny because size-wise, the stores were all the exact same size. They were tiny.
Tiny little places.
And they would always ask for your phone number for batteries, which that's something else that now everybody wants your phone number.
Exactly. That's the way that I get your number. I get your money.
Which is wild because I know I'm on to maybe my somewhere in between 5 and 10 phone numbers in my life.
Sure.
I can still recite the one from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I know my parents' phone number that I had when I was a teenager because they still use it.
Right.
A lot of them I have no idea of because in that era, the early 2000s, right about when your museum was opening, we were like changing out all of the phones left and right. You know, you had a new cell phone, new phone number. That one breaks, you need a new SIM card, new phone number. Just one after another.
And now I remember nothing. It's on speed dial. You know, so is the smart device making us smarter or the opposite? I'm not sure. Before the I'm pointing now at the Radio Shack cordless phone. There was the bag phone. Do you remember the bag phone?
I don't know if I want to.
So well, it was very popular. So it was this vinyl small vinyl bag, and within this bag was all of the parts for a telephone. So it came around depending on where you live geographically. It came about you could have a car phone or you could have a bag phone. So it was a take with you kind of thing, and it was hugely popular. Very expensive. I mean, some people might have potentially paid $4,000 for this bag phone. So in many regards, it was something that your company that you worked for would get for you, like if you were a salesperson or something. But I always chuckle because it came out for me just about the time that I also had friends that were having babies. So there was the baby bag, the diaper bag, a time when everyone had to take pictures. So you had the camera bag, the film bag. I mean, it looked like everyone was like running away from home. There were so many bags. But the bag phone was a big deal. It was very popular.
Now that you mention it, my dad, he was in law enforcement, and they would, every weekend, somebody else would get the phone. And it came, I think it was a suitcase, but it was the same kind of thing. It was a cell phone.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal.
A huge deal.
I'm showing it to me. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You can call anybody from anywhere. And that's just become our relationship.
Exactly.
So would you say that this cordless phone was part of that, or was this just kind of like an in-between? Was it part of the story of where we got smartphones from and cell phones, or is it just kind of like a...
I see what you're saying.
Like kind of picked up in the wave of cell phone revolution, like, oh yeah, we'll give them a cordless phone just to...
I got to tell you, I think when you start looking at it from a high elevation, there isn't one thing about, again, telephony and history in general. If you start to look at it from a high level, everything leads to where we are now. It's a confluence of everything. It's a confluence of all the technology. It's the culmination of everybody's idea. If you walk around the museum and you're looking at like an old Bakelite, which is pre-plastic, super heavy, your grandma, your grandpa probably had it in their house, dial phone. Well, there's components of that can absolutely lead to where we are now. Because if you're just looking at telephony from a technological perspective, it may not be so obvious. But there's a lot more to it. There's the psychology of it, the sociology of it. We cannot be anywhere without our phones. We are humanly incapable. I mean, people sleep with it. So once upon a time, we didn't even have this device, and now look at us. So there's a lot of connections throughout all of the stages of the history. So this was just one step. Yeah, albeit a cheap one. I mean, $39.99. This is cheap plastic.
This is like a cheap knockoff.
But hey,
They show you the features. It doesn't have any.
I bet you it sold like hotcakes. Yeah.
What a great way to make Dad feel like he's
Absolutely.
arriving into...
Absolutely.
I mean, this is
he made it.
The 90s was the information age, right? And so...
And a collection of stuff.
Yes.
You collect stuff back in the 90s and the latter part of the 80s. The more stuff, the more perceived value that I've got because I've got more stuff.
Right.
So.
And I can show it off.
Mm-hmm.
And can be seen from the backyard.
Exactly.
Unlike,
look at me on the phone.
Right. I'm so important. I have my phone next to the pool.
Right.
My above ground pool.
Sure.
Because I'm in a ultimate, suburban middle class neighborhood.
Exactly.
And I have my cordless phone.
Right.
Because I can't be bothered to get up or just not answer the phone. We have that compulsion, don't we?
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
Answer the phone.
Yeah, it's a habit now.
I get myself almost hooked up when my phone rings and I don't get to it in time. Like, who's calling? Why aren't they just emailing me?
Yeah.
Well, it's so urgent that they have to call.
Exactly.
When it used to be a delightful thing.
Right.
Oh, who's calling?
Right.
Who wants to talk?
Exactly. Now it's a back and forth. Is it really a good thing? Is it not a good thing? And quite frankly, it has nothing to do with the thing, the technology or the device itself. It's us. It's the yous and me's. It's the human element. We humans do not practice moderation well. We are fickle. We are impatient. We're all those things. So marry that up with this technology, and then the apps that we've added onto this technology, and in many regards, it's a perfect storm. So,
speaking of apps and their icons that they use,
yeah.
I think one of the ways just to demonstrate how important or maybe unimportant this phase of, and I love that word, telephony. It's
either way,
it's fine.
Tomato.
Is that the symbol that you have of the phone being on the cradle with the dial?
Sure.
You can find that on computers. You can find that on phones. It's only recently, like I bring up mine, and it has
a little receiver.
Something that looks a little bit closer to the cordless phone as the symbol.
Exactly.
But I mean, even microphones, like on my computer right now, the icon for a microphone looks like it's from 1929.
Exactly.
It's not a new microphone. It's not even one of these.
Exactly.
It's the old, like, you feel like Bing Crosby's going to sing into it.
Absolutely.
And the phone, I guess it speaks to the era that had the most revolutionary impact, and that would have been mid-century.
Yeah.
It was becoming a major staple in people's lives, and you could not have a life without a phone.
No.
You know, imagine that. I mean, just like
and now it's led to this.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow.
I'm so glad, Graham, of all the museums you could be.
I know. How fun.
Thank you so much, and I hope this is not the last time we talk.
Absolutely. I hope not. That was great.
Popular culture, by definition, connects and unites us and proves that people of different backgrounds, in fact, have a lot in common with one another. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, at least in part, for that reason. If it connects with you and you'd like to add to it, or any of the podcast episodes, just visit everything-history.com and search for the Everything as a Primary Source project, which can be found in the classroom section of the website. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Be sure to rate and share this podcast wherever you are listening to it now, and follow Everything as a Primary Source on social media, including YouTube and especially Instagram. Thank you for listening to the EPS podcast, where everything is a primary source.